Attention to any stations listening. The net will start in about 3 minutes. WRUK 935.
WRUK 935.
Attention all stations, attention all stations. This is WRUK 935. Eric in Casper, Wyoming. Opening the Casper, Wyoming GMRS Net. This is a directed net. Please direct all transmissions to net control. This net is held every first Thursday of the month at 17:30 hours on the Casper Mountain GMRS repeater. The purpose of this net is to establish and maintain radio communications for Casper and surrounding areas and encourage use and learning. Information regarding the use of this repeater can be found by searching for Casper GMRS on Facebook, searching for this local area on the repeater book, or by searching on mygmrs.com. In the event of a real-time emergency, please break in with emergency followed by your call sign, and all net traffic will turn the frequency over to you. Okay, I'll now call for stations wishing to check in. Please check in when the number has been called that correlates with the first numeric digit of your call sign. State your call sign, name, and location slowly and clearly so that I can record it correctly. Stations with the numbers 0 through 3 as the first number in your call sign, please come now. All right, one more try for any stations with the number 0 through 3 as the first digit. Call sign, please come now.
WRFR 259.
Stand by, my pen's not working here. Alright, we got Pat in there, WRFR 259. Any more stations with numbers 0 through 3 is the first number in your call sign. Please come now. Alrighty. Any stations with the numbers 4 through 6 is the first number in your call sign. Please come now. Okay, no stations 4 through 6. Stations with the numbers 7 through 9 is the first number in your call. Please come now.
WSBR 724.
Alright, Mike, WSBR 724. Good evening there, Mike. Any more stations with the numbers 7 through 9? 7 through 9 is the first number in your call. Please come now.
WSGH 790, Philip out of Casper.
Alright, a copy WSGH 790, Philip out of Casper. Good evening, Philip. Any more stations 7 through 9? Please come now. Alright, any mobile stations or stations that are late check-ins, numbers 0 through 9, please come now.
WRTJ 370, Chris.
WRTJ 370, good evening, Chris. Alright, one more call for mobile stations or late check-ins. Please come now. Alright, well, we'll just go ahead and pick it up here, and if we get somebody else that shows up a few minutes late or whatever, no big deal. When we get a little pause in the traffic there, just call out with your call and just let us know, late check-in, and we'll get you on the roster. Okay, so the topic for tonight was basically just going to be kind of antenna theory, antenna types, and gain. So I can just start off with a basic description of a few different antenna types and takeoff angles and stuff like that, and we can just kind of round robin discussing that a little further and try to get input from anybody and everybody. So I'll go down the roster here and well, I got a little long-winded. Hopefully I didn't time out the repeater there. Did everything I said make it through?
Negative. We lost you after you were going to do a round robin to get everybody talking. Roger that.
Okay, so yeah, I'll just start off. We'll get a little round robin with what everybody's using for a radio and antenna tonight, and if you happen to know, the size or the wavelength of your antenna, go ahead and throw that in there as well. Mine's I'm using just a BTEC GMRS 20-watt radio, and I've got a quarter wave NMO mount antenna here at the moment. We'll go on to Pat next. Go ahead there, Pat. How about you there, WRFR 259, Pat? Are you still out there? All right, we'll proceed and come back to Pat later. How about you there, Mike, WSBR 724? What are you running tonight?
I am running a Baofeng UV9G with all of 5 watts. And the Nagoya NA771 Golf antenna. It's about maybe 14 inches long for the radiating element.
Okay, roger that. We got the Nagoya NA771 Golf. Do you know if that's what the wavelength is on that? You said about 14 inches, so I would assume it's probably like a 5/8 wave?
I would have to do the math, but that sounds about right, just based on UHF for amateur.
Okay, roger that. Well, maybe we can finish going down the list here, and then maybe go through mathing that out a little bit. Okay, well, we'll move on to Philip, WSGH 790. Which antenna and radio are you running tonight?
Running a BTEC handheld and finally upgraded to the signal stick with the counterpoise. It seems to work pretty good.
Copy on the BTEC. I haven't seen those signal sticks with the counterpoise on them yet, so I'll definitely have to check that out. I got it wrote down on my list here. And yeah, you're making a great copy into the repeater. No audible bacon fry in the background there, Roger. All right, and how about you there, Chris, WRTJ 370? What kind of antenna and radio are you running tonight?
Tonight we are running the ICOM 706 on a Diamond X50C2. It's, I believe, a 5/8 wave on GMRS, and then it's a 3/8 wave on 2 meters, I believe.
Okay, we're copy on the dual band antenna and the ICOM 706. Well, very cool. I guess we'll swing back around to Pat, WRFR 259. Are you still out there, Pat? Well, we got a negative copy on Pat. I did want to mention, if you guys go to the Casper GMRS Facebook page, I do have a live stream running right now on YouTube, and I've just got all the audio being piped into an SDR, and so it's kind of a cool way to visualize what an FM signal looks like, and everybody on here tonight's making it into the repeater just fine, so great signals, and you guys can take a peek at that and kind of see how some of that works if you want. It is up and running now, and it's got about a 20 or 30 second delay.
WRUK935.
And I'll take a little break here and we'll see if we got any more late check-ins, mobile stations, anybody out there listening. Go ahead and hop in there if you want to, and we'll get you on the roster. Okay, no more check-ins. All right, well, I'll throw it out here for anybody that's interested. If anybody wants to come out and explain how you can find which frequency your antenna is resonant at and which wavelength it's resonant at. Say for instance we take a 6-inch long antenna. How do we figure out where that antenna is designed to operate at? Does anybody want to take a stab at that? All right. Well, I can jump in there and kind of explain here. It pretty much just comes down to a formula where we take the antenna length in feet equals 468 divided by the frequency in megahertz. So for a half-wave dipole antenna, you're going to divide the result by 2 for each leg of the antenna. Hold on here just a second. But basically, in the Google world here, all we really got to do, if you really want to just get down to it, you can just go online, go into Google, and there are tons of antenna calculators, and you can put in your antenna length. Hold on a minute. Sorry about that. You can go, you can go on Google. There's plenty of calculators, and you can put in which frequency that you want to make an antenna for. If you want to build an antenna, and then you can determine which type of antenna you want. You get your quarter wave antennas that have a steeper takeoff angle, which up here in the UHF area are kind of good for the more hilly or urban areas. And then like your 5/8 waves are a little bit more, they've got some gain built into them, and they're built more for like your longer range stuff without those hills and buildings in the way, if that makes sense. So, how about Philip there? What do you think the length is on that signal stick you've got?
I have to look it up, but I think it's a quarter wave on 2 meters, I believe.
Okay. So I'll just throw it in the Googs here, and I'll look that thing up real quick, and we'll kind of figure out what the length of it is, and I guess what they advertise it as, and then we can throw it in a calculator here and kind of see how all that maps out. That is, and of course, if I can find it. Is the one that you have advertised for GMRS? you still out there, Philip? WRUK 935.
WSGH 790. Yeah, I broke up a little bit there. Could you come again on that?
Sure. I was just asking if you, is that signal stick antenna that you've got, is that designed for GMRS or is it a 2-meter antenna that you're using?
It's 2 meter, 70 centimeters, but close enough to GMRS. It seems to work pretty good.
Okay, roger that. Yeah, and that seems to be the case with most of them. This quarter wave that I'm running right now is same thing. It seems to be resonant on GMRS and 2 meters. So yeah, I'm just trying to find the exact one you've got. We could kind of figure out the length and try to math it out here as a group.
I don't see the exact length on it on their web. I do see the exact length on it. On the Signal Stuff website, the dual band version is approximately 19 inches long. That's 1 at 9 inches, and they advertise it as quarter wave on 2 meter, 3/4 wave on 70 centimeter. They also talk about a GMRS using the 440 single band for GMRS, but obviously that doesn't apply here.
Roger that. So, with that information, everybody plays with the old Google machine. If you've got a free hand and available, I'm just going to Google antenna length calculator and see what we come up with here.
I did it a little bit earlier for 462 megahertz. It looked like the wavelength was about 25 inches. So my 15.3-inch whip is around 0.6 waves.
Okay, very cool. 0.6 would be about a 5/8 wave there, Roger.
Yep, closer to 5/8 and a half.
Okay. Yeah, so Mike's got the long-range antenna. I've got the higher takeoff angle antenna, and then Philip sounds like he's running on that 3/4 wave-ish area on the 70 centimeter side. Does that all jive with you guys? That sound about right?
Yep, almost. According to my math, approximately 19 over 25 and a half is 0.745, so pretty close to 3/4.
Roger that. So does everybody in here understand the concept of wavelength in like relation to frequency? Anybody can come out with an answer there. You know, it's up to anybody there. Does anybody not understand it, I should say, how wavelength and frequency interact with each other? Well, no takers on that, but yeah, I'll just basically throw it out there. So you take the wavelength of your frequency, and as you go up in frequency, the higher frequency you go, which is GMRS being ultra high frequency, UHF, and got a much smaller wavelength for the sine wave, and it's a complete cycle. Whereas, you know, that's why we've got these small antennas for GMRS. And then as we go down in frequency, down into like the HF band, the quarter wave at 27 megahertz, you're talking like 17 feet versus quarter wave at UHF, somewhere around 6 inches. So, noise frequency does the frequency. I'm pretty sure I timed it out again there. Anybody want to let me know where that cut off at?
We got most of it. Probably the last 5 seconds we lost. But you're somewhat muffled at this point.
I'm getting a little muffled.
You were, that was much better.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I had my, I think I had my thumb kind of covering the tiny little mic hole here on the front of my mic. Well, how about Chris, WRTJ370? You want to throw some input out there about your X50C2 antenna there and kind of how that one works?
Yeah, so I'm no expert at it, but all this stuff is based off the speed of light and how far it takes one wave cycle, one up and down cycle to complete. And then how fast it does that would be the frequency, I believe. And then, so my antenna is dual band. It's longer, so it can get, what did I say, 3/8 wave on the 2 meter band, which I guess is a resonant wavelength. And then the GMRS band, it gets 5/8 wavelength, so it's 5/8 of wavelength of GMRS. And for some reason, that's a good number, too, to be resonant on your antenna.
Roger that. So you're saying it's just a single 5/8 wave for half of the antenna and then a 3/8 wave for another portion of the antenna?
From what I'm reading about it, yes, it's in fiberglass, so you can't really tell what's going on in there. But from their description, that's what it sounds like.
Okay, well, very good. I guess another kind of antenna that we could throw out here, because we're all basically talking about quarter wave, half wave, 5/8 and 3/4 waves so far. But kind of another option that's out there is like a 5/8 wave over 5/8 wave antenna. And I've got one of those here at the house, and it's made by Tram, and it's also a dual band antenna, so it's dual band for 2 meters and 70 centimeters. But it also turns out to work really well on GMRS. And so kind of how those work is it's got two separate sections in there where it's got a half wave for the 2 meter side of things, and it's got a 5/8 wave over 5/8 wave for the 70 centimeter or GMRS portion.
WRUK935.
And basically, my understanding of it is when you take those 5/8 wave antennas like that, which generally have a little bit of gain, like Midland makes a 5/8 wave GMRS antenna. I think it's like the part number's like an MTX 5.8 or something like that. Or, anyways, that one's got a few dB of gain where you get a little bit more gain by stacking two 5/8 waves over each other, and then they've got like a coil in between, kind of a collinear coil that basically adds some capacitance to it to kind of keep your 50 ohms that your radio is looking for. If anybody else wants to jump in or add to that, go right ahead.
I will throw in that, this is WSBR 724, I will add in that as you stack antenna elements like that, your gain will increase, but your beam width will decrease. Beam width is how far off the center lobe, the center of the central lobe, you can get before you drop half the dB or 3 dB, before you drop half the power or 3 dB. So if you have 3 elements stacked, you get much more gain, but it's very flat, which is bad if you're on top of a mountain because everything below the mountain can't see you.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point. Talking about, for instance, the repeater up on Casper Mountain. I'm sure everybody in here has driven close to the mountain and noticed that it doesn't work all that great towards the bottom. But as you get out towards, the middle of town or going away from the mountain, you start pulling out of that shadow of that lobe of the antenna. And then, obviously, as you get a little farther out, it works really good.
A corollary to that is that the amount of power coming out of the radio is constant no matter what kind of antenna you have. However, what the antenna does is it can shape that power. So you can have an antenna like a Yagi that focuses it in one direction. You can have an Omni that spreads it out in a bunch of directions. Or you can stack Omnis, and then again you have a very flat sort of disc shape of radiation pattern going out. So the antenna design can kind of do a whole bunch of things depending on what you're looking for it to do. You just have to find the right antenna to match.
Roger that. And I guess one more thing to add while we're talking about gain and dB is that a lot of times when you look at antennas, they're not all, their ratings are not all created equal. Sometimes you see antennas rated in dBd, and sometimes you see them rated as dBi of gain. And so the dBi stands for decibels in an isotropic environment, meaning they've modeled that antenna and basically calculated that it will have, for just a random number, 6 dBi of gain. But dBi is kind of a made-up number, and I think it's more of an advertising ploy than anything, because there is Does anybody want to jump in there and kind of elaborate on what dBd of gain might be?
WRTJ 370. You cut out there, timed out towards the end of it, but I do know that dBd is dBi minus, I think, 2.15. I don't know why they have the two numbers. I'm looking forward to figuring this out.
Okay, so you're trying to figure out why there's a dBi rating and a dBd rating?
Yeah, Roger, because DVD is just the DVI number minus 2.15. So I'm not sure why the confusion on the DVI, DVD. It is kind of a marketing ploy, I think, but it seems to be pretty set in the calculations.
Unicorn versus real world.
Oh, sounds like we got another check-in. Who do we got out there? I guess it's nobody. So yeah, the DBI, this is my understanding of it. DBI is relative to an isotropic antenna, meaning it's an antenna in free space. It's not mounted to a tower, it's not mounted to a car, there's nothing around it in any direction. A DVD rating is relative to a dipole, how much gain that antenna provides over just a basic dipole antenna. So I could see where the 2.15 would stay consistent.
That's my understanding. From work, we treat dB as like a change in power. So dB is the unit, and then the little number next to it is the reference. So dBi is your change in power relative to an isotropic antenna. dBd would be your change in power relative to a dipole. dBm would be your output power relative to 1 milliwatt, and then dBw would be your output power relative to 1 watt.
Roger that. Yeah, that all sounds correct. So, with that being said, if we're using dB to measure like power output, how many dB does it take to double your power output? Does anybody know that one?
About 3 dB.
Yeah, that is correct. 3 dB is pretty much a power doubling. How about you there, Philip? Are you still out there?
WSG8790, yeah, still here, just kind of listening and learning, pretty new to all this stuff.
Okay, roger that. Is there anything you want to add to or ask? Something, just any type of antenna question or power output questions, coax questions, coax loss, anything like that. Ask away, and I'm sure between the group here, somebody will know it.
I think one of my next projects is probably going to be a mobile for my vehicle, so if anyone has any advice on any radios or setup things on that.
Definitely. How about you there, Mike? Go ahead and what do you recommend mobile GMRS radios?
I am still dipping my toes in the GMRS radio world, so I'm not a huge expert on those. The radio that I have for mobile is just a 20-watt Radioddity. It's good enough. It doesn't do full power at some of the frequencies for whatever reason. I think one question before you kind of decide anything is if you want it to be a permanent install, or if it's something that you're going to want temporary, that you don't want to modify your vehicle permanently with holes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think ideally I'd want something I could move from vehicle to vehicle and maybe even do like a POTA soda setup with it.
Yeah, so what I do usually is just an antenna through a window with a whatever run of coax comes with it. It's not the greatest, but it's easy, and it's just a mag mount on the roof. And then that 20-watt transmitter is good enough to hit wherever I need to for this repeater.
I think we had a little bit of a double there. Try again, Philip.
Just saying I appreciate the advice, and I'll look into something like that. It sounds fairly simple to install and not too bad.
So my recommendation, if you're looking for just GMRS only, I've got a VTech GMRS 20 in my pickup, and it just plugs into the cigarette lighter. So it's very small. It's about the size of a cell phone and about 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick, and just got it plugged right into the center console. So for something that's easy to move from vehicle to vehicle, that one kind of checks the box. But for anything other than GMRS, you'd need another radio.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, I think ideally I'd like to have something that could do a little bit of ham stuff too, but that sounds like an awesome radio.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking on right now. I'm just out sitting here in my pickup. Normally I run the net from the house on, I've got an external antenna there, but I wanted to run this live stream in tonight, and so I've got that antenna kind of tied up and piped into my SDR here to capture the live stream. So far so good. You can hear the audio on one of these right now.
But it's just harder to move around because you've got to deal with all the cables. Mounting it into some sort of go box provides a little bit more portability.
I think we doubled a little bit there, Mike. Hopefully I didn't cover you up too much.
Probably not. I was just saying that another thing to think about is go boxes to wrap the radio in to make it a little bit more portable to maneuver between vehicles.
Yeah, roger that. That go box that you built for your 710 is pretty darn cool.
WRUK935.
Yeah, I think for like the GMRS radio, what I've done is just a small 100 or maybe 2800, and I just screwed the radio to the bottom and then put a couple holes in it for the antenna and the power.
I doubled with you again there, Mike. Sorry about that.
I was just saying that for my go box for the GMRS, it's just a simple Apache 2800 with radio screwed into the bottom and then holes for the antenna and power.
Okay, roger that. Well, maybe share a picture of it on the Facebook page there. Throw some ideas out. And Philip, do you already have your ham ticket, or is that something you're working on?
Yeah, I've had my ham for, I think, about 2.5 years now, so it's just kind of getting into all the radio stuff and playing around and having fun.
Oh, very cool. Well, cool deal. Yeah. Do you have any kind of HF rigs or anything like that right now, or are you just still kind of early on in the addiction?
Still fairly early on. I just upgraded from the cheap Chinese one here recently, but yeah, I think an HF rig with some digital modes is probably what I'd be interested in.
Roger that. Well, if you want something that'll do it all, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but that new Yaesu what is it? The FT1X or FTX1. Have you seen that radio yet?
Oh yeah, that's probably one of my top radios for my dream radio, but a little pricey there, so still kind of trying to save up for that a little bit.
Roger that. Yeah, I've got a 710 that, well, it's broke down right now. It's been sitting at Yaesu forever, but it's a pretty good one, you know. But obviously, you don't get your 2 meter, 70 centimeter stuff. But in the world that we live in, you know, pretty much a handheld will get you onto all of that around town. So, you know, you can go just straight HF rig too.
Yeah, that'd probably be what I'd do, is just a straight HF rig, because the handhelds I have seem to do pretty good, but it seems like most places I go, there's not much on 70 centimeters and 2 meters anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing I observe. I go all over the state, and you know, with the exception of like the 146-940 machine being linked to other repeaters around the state, all the other non-linked repeaters are almost a ghost town everywhere I go.
Yeah, that's about what I experienced too. I just came back from Texas, and about the only traffic I saw was stuff on Echolink from a linked repeater.
Yeah, it's you know, it's kind of crazy. You know, you want to hear activity, and yeah, boy, sometimes it's just really hard to get that. You know, and, it's kind of nice every now and then you catch a little chat, but yeah, I try. You know, when I am around town, I try to get on this repeater and the 2 meter repeater and kind of drum up some conversation, but it's a little tough sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, we definitely need some people to get on and start talking, and maybe we can get it active again.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know Pat checked in earlier. We could give him another whack, see if he's still out there. WRFR 259. Pat, are you out there at all? Okay, anybody else out there that missed check-in and wants to check in, feel free to come now. All right, well, how about Chris? Are you still out there, Chris?
QSL WRTJ 370.
Had any Mobile radio recommendations for Philip?
I use this ICOM 706. I really like it. Goes everywhere. 2 meter, 70 centimeter, all the HF. I have it Mars modded to do 11 meters too, so pretty all around radio, pretty compact. As far as new ones, I mean, they're all so expensive, and I don't really know too much about them. I look at mostly base stations. I guess the FT710 could possibly be considered a mobile radio, but still pretty big there.
Yeah, I vote for the FT710 as well. And as an added bonus, it comes with a carrying strap that you can just throw it right over your shoulder and walk around at your local parks for Parks on the Air activations. I think I would be a little sketched out trying to carry that thing around on my shoulder. Generally, just throw it on the park bench. But yeah, any more questions, or anybody want to add anything to the net?
I stomped on you that time. This is WSPR 734.
No worries. Go right ahead there. Mike, WRUK 935.
I was just making a joke that to make the 710 portable or mobile, you could get like an Alice pack, throw an antenna on it, batteries in the pack, hook it up to your 710 and walk around the park, making contact.
Yeah, pretty much. When I opened that little strap in that box, I couldn't believe that they would actually think somebody would use that. All right, well, I think we covered the bases pretty good tonight. If nobody has anything else to add, we'll go ahead and close her down. All right, well, thanks everybody for checking in tonight. Pretty good discussion out there, and lots of good input. So the net will now close, and we'll return the repeater to normal GMRS use. We'll close the net tonight at 18:21 hours. The repeater is returned to normal operation. Good evening to all. This is WRUK 935.
Thanks for the net tonight, and all be clear, WRTJ 370.
WRUK 925.